Today's project is replacing this brake master cylinder in a 63 Plymouth Valiant. This procedure is nearly identical in every early 60s Mopar, so this will cover quite a bit. It's a pretty straightforward job, but we're going to start in the cockpit underneath the dash, disconnecting the push rod into the master cylinder. So the lighting in here isn't great, obviously. I'm going to just show you the highlights. This bolt here is on one side of the push rod for the brake pedal assembly. That's going to be a 3/4. This side here is the nut on the other side of that, and that is a what was that? It's 11/16. You can see back here why I'm having to replace it. It's got a pretty bad leak. That's all the fluid leaking out of the master cylinder. So I don't think there's going to be a good angle to do this, but maybe I can get this nut off because I did already break it loose. So maybe I don't need the wrench. Nut. There's the washer, and the bolt will push straight through. Yeah, that actually should. I think it rusted itself to the shaft there. There we go. That still doesn't want to come through. So now the pedal will just hang loose. And this is a special shoulder bolt. It's the right size to fit inside that push rod, and it's designed to where the nut will tighten up but without locking the push rod on this part. It's supposed to swivel there. Obviously I need to clean some rust off. So anyway, don't lose that bolt. And yeah, now the pedal is just going to hang loose. That should be all we need to do underneath here. There's an exception I'll tell you about in a second when we get back up top. Okay, so up top all we have to do is remove the brake line. There's just one brake line on it because it's a single pot master cylinder. This goes down to a junction block that tees it off to all 4 wheels. And then there's 4 nuts on the master cylinder. 2 on this side, 2 on the other side. They're 1/2-inch nuts. Get a better view of them right there. Okay, just those 2 there. Then now the exception I was talking about a minute ago is we had a Fury of the same year a long time ago where these were actually installed the other way around. So there was the stud coming out of the master cylinder going into the firewall instead of the other way around. So the 4 nuts were under the dash. You had to go under the dash to unbolt that from the firewall. And yeah, it was a real hassle. Hopefully you don't have that. So like this one, just the 1 bolt on the connecting rod, and then the 4 nuts here, and then that one there. Okay, it's a 7/16 to remove this fitting, and again I always recommend a flared nut wrench. It's the best way to do that. And then you put a 9/16 on this one. You just hold this one in place. You break this one loose. Half-inch socket. A longer extension helps you get past the master cylinder, so that makes it easier. And of course, when you disconnect that line, it's very possible brake fluid will come out. It's just that this master cylinder is more than likely empty because it leaks pretty bad. Brake fluid is very damaging to paint, so if it does come out and if it spills on anything, wash it off. So we got all four nuts off, and at this point, if I can get it to break loose. It should just slide out of there. There we go. Pretty crusty. I don't remember if the new one comes with a replacement seal or not. It's just a little foam gasket. I hope so, because this is not getting reused. That's the part that's going in. It does not come with that foam gasket. Nope. Touch of oil on these studs since the nuts came out kind of rough. Alright, so you get your new one. New one that they did not give you the new seal for. Okay, when you install this, just go in straight, because if you kind of cock it in there, it's not likely, but it's not impossible to get this on the wrong side of the brake pedal, and that kind of ruins your day. Put it in place and get all the wires out of it that are trying to get pinched by it. Old vehicles like these, master cylinders are made out of cast iron, which is obviously better than plastic, but cast iron does rust real fast, so if you put a new one in and it looks like that in a week, don't worry about it. It's normal. I suppose you could paint it to try to prevent that, but if you remember what I said about brake fluid, and paint, it probably wouldn't stay on there very long. We're going to tighten these up, and I always like to tighten anything up in a cross pattern just so it evenly applies the torque. Alright, now we're going back in the cockpit. Okay, I cleaned the rust off of that shoulder bolt, put a drop of oil on it. Now I'm going to put it through right in there, and the flashlight fell. I need more hands. So it's going to go into that, and then through the hole on the other side of it that goes into the brake lever, the brake pedal lever. So actually, when I was up top, I kind of had it backwards. It's that way. You don't want to cock that thing and get it on the wrong side. But anyway, just put it in straight and you'll be fine. This thing fought me a little harder than I expected. See a little white nub there at the end of the brake push rod? That's the brake light switch. And it prevented me from pushing the rod up into position and then passing the bolt through the brake pedal lever. So I had to push the rod in so I could line it up, pass it through, and then let it come back out. So it's definitely would have helped to have 3 arms, but anyway, it's in there. I got the nut on it. I just have to tighten it up and I'll be done down here. Alright, we're finishing up now. This is just a little rubber boot, keep the dirt out. Now, if you're bench bleeding this master cylinder, this could be the point to do that. You know, you could just hook up your line and run it into there and then lightly pump it in the under the hood and lightly pump it inside the car to get the bubbles out and then hook it up. But this specific one says do not bench bleed, which is unusual. I don't think I've ever seen that in one of these Mopar master cylinders, but it's alright. We're going to check to make sure. I didn't have to transfer this fitting. The new master cylinder came with this fitting. I'm just going to make sure it's tight, not just, see, it's kind of loose. Okay. Obviously, if yours doesn't have that, or if you have a different adapter, you're going to have to switch that out. Be very careful to get this threaded in straight so you don't ruin the threads. It's real easy to do on brass. That's all there is to it. Obviously the system needs to be bled. I'm not gonna do that on camera. But yeah, fill it up, bleed it, and as with any automobile you bleed, start with the wheel furthest away, so that'd be passenger rear, and you go to driver rear, passenger front, then driver front. And if you don't get all the air out of it then, or your pedal still feels spongy, go do it again. But that's all there is to it, so it's a pretty simple job. So you need 9/16 socket, 7/16 flared nut wrench, 9/16 open end wrench, and underneath you need 11/16 socket and a 3/4 inch open end wrench. So that's all the tools that's involved in that, other than bleeding once you're done. What I did just notice, kind of looks like the aftermarket people might have gone to metric, because these are normally 7/16. That's way too big, and 3/8 is too small. Huh. It's unusual. Usually aftermarket parts are manufactured to the standard of the vehicle that they were made for. Like this is not the original master cylinder. It's actually had quite a few over the years. This guy here I think is probably a little over 10 years old. It's got more time than miles on it. It's got very, very few miles on it actually. But yeah, this was a new one also, and it's still 7/16. Of course, I don't know what brand this is, but this new one is Centric, which when I was shopping for these was the only brake brand that was offered that I even recognized, so I grabbed that. This is made in Taiwan. No surprise there. Anyway, that's it. I hope that helps somebody. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Thanks for watching.